Longest week ever.
Oh my god.
Having to wait for redemption from what I thought was a weaker second episode.
And we got it.
Yeah, we did. Mandalorian episode 3, Friday, November 22nd. And it is out on Disney Plus and ready for the streamers to enjoy all 33 minutes of it.
And it absolutely did redeem from the second episode. It was much better.
Yeah, I think so. A lot to talk about in this episode, and it kicks off just right where the second episode leaves off.
It seems to be their theme. They're going to start up where the previous episode leaves off each time.
It's going to be like 24. Just flow right into the next bit. So obviously we know he's turning in his bounty.
And he's developed a bit of a human emotion side. Yeah.
A bond with the baby Yoda, but it does not appear as so right off the bat. Obviously, it's a little predictable. He re-enters the city where he got his bounty from, his bounty puck from the Carl Weathers character, who I'm just going to call the bounty giver, I guess.
I don't know.
The puck giver. Anyways, he reemerges in this town, and he enters the enclave where the stormtroopers and the remnants of the Empire are still there, and the guy who I'm predicting is going to be the big villain in this show is there waiting for him.
Yeah.
And he trades in Baby Yoda, and he gets like a crap ton of Beskar.
Oh my god, yeah, a capsule full of it?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know how to say that word.
A capsule.
Capsule.
It's a crap load. It is enough to make every other bounty hunter and Mandalorian a little envious and curious as to what the heck's going on.
He was swarmed.
Yeah, well, before we get there, so he unloads Baby Yoda, and there's that emotional scene where Baby Yoda is getting wheeled into like the lab area of the Enclave, and he looks back,
and all he does is eyes for the Mandalorian.
His little eyes for the Mandalorian, and at that moment, I knew that he was gonna have to come back for him to for the series to progress the way that I wanted to.
His armor was shot from the episode 2 scene with that
Triceratops thing,
and he was in no condition to be able to put up a fight for him at that moment.
Not then and there. And
he took his Beskar. He got new armor.
Yeah.
Came back for a fight.
Not just new armor. He
got new head to toe.
Blinging.
Yeah, everything. Weaponry, like everything.
Ballin'. I know what I want to be for Halloween now. It's the ballin' version of... I know Halloween just happened, but still, next year, ballin' version of the Mandalorian.
It's never too early to plan for Halloween, so...
Yeah, we get a little bit more insight in this episode. I really liked it for... It went into the lore of like the armor and the weaponry and the just all the technology. You get more glimpses
into their culture.
Everything that they've got going for them, from the weapons to the like high-tech spying devices that he was using when he reemerged and went back into the
a hint on their ideology,
their honor code.
Yeah,
which I'd go either way with that because
it's very flexible, the code. I mean, it seems like it could be rigid, but at the same time, it's a simple quote which could be applied to whatever they need it to be applied to.
Yeah, the series seems to be running with like catchy phrases.
Yeah.
You had
I'm okay with that,
I have spoken, and now you've got it is the way. Is that what it is? It is the way.
It is our way, or
it is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. That's it.
Just watched it and I can't remember.
You remember all the quotes, but you remember what those cool little weapons were that they hooked him up with the excess Beskar.
The ones they said that was very rare to use them sparingly was a songbird.
10 minutes later, he used them.
Yeah,
sparingly. But he had to use him. So, okay, don't want to jump too far ahead. Let's see, where were we as far as plotline is concerned? He just dumped Yoda off, got the armor, and then he goes to revisit the bounty giver, the puck giver, to get his next mission. Mm-hmm. He makes it all the way to his ship, and then the emotional moment of the series so far, where you knew it was coming, he realizes, I have to reciprocate the
He can't leave the child behind because he doesn't know what they're going to do to him. He kept asking what they're going to do with the child.
I think he realized that Baby Yoda saved him. And
well, I mean, he knew that. Baby Yoda saved him.
Well, this is his moment of redemption and saying, okay, this is where I extend reciprocity to Baby Yoda, and I do the same thing he did for me, because these guys have the Empire, the remnants of the Empire. I think it's also a little bit more
deeper than that, because every time he, even in the one of the previous episodes where he got the shoulder piece done, and then when he got his full set armor now, when they're banging out the armor and everything, he constantly has his flashbacks of him as a child and how he came to lose his original family and then became a foundling and stuff like that. So he's having those flashbacks of him. So I think it's in a deep personal level for him about the child too, because he was a child. And he lost his family. I can see that.
There's still Mandalorians, for all intents and purposes, are human.
Of course.
They're just from a planet. So he's definitely got that emotional conviction still about him, but he's not allowed to really flex it too often because he's a businessman. He's very, up to this point, every bounty he's ever turned in, he's never had this sort of conundrum of do I turn in the bounty? Do I not? He's never had this dilemma. He's always been about his business.
It's against the code or something. Yeah.
Against the code, so to speak. But like we mentioned, the code is very flexible. And I like the introduction of the other Mandalorians that, for whatever reason, weren't around the first time he visited that foundry and got that shoulder piece clanked together. No sight of them then,
all over
but they were everywhere, and that was cool. I know why they introduced them, because obviously towards the end of the episode they come back into play. So before the end of the episode, though, he has that moment in his ship where he says, okay, I gotta go back and get the baby, get the child, as episode 2 was called. This episode, by the way, episode 3, is called The Sin, which is the breaking of the code. I would say it is. So he goes back on his mission to infiltrate the little complex that they're holding Baby Yoda, and we get to see some more of his cool gadgets, and we get to see that stormtroopers are still brain dead, just like they were in every check the perimeter, and they go after this. After somebody ripped the camera out, stormtroopers they're always just placeholders for battles and stuff like that. Yeah. But we did get a little cool shootout, and obviously the main baddie, the older gentleman played by Werner Herzog, the Client is what his character name is. He had a brief moment of dialogue, but then he disappeared. He was not part of the firefight.
No, he wasn't.
So he's long gone off the planet, and he'll probably hear of this. And after the Mandalorian rescues the baby, it turns into John Wick 3, kind of.
Yeah, where he's trying to keep the baby from getting harmed while he's in this firefight.
Yeah, he's trying to escape, but everybody gets a little beeping red notification on the
child is back in play, because apparently all the bounty hunters got pucks, or what is it?
Pucks.
They're pucks to cash in on the to try to cash in on the bounty. They all
failed.
Yeah, they all failed. But when he got out of the complex, or was taken out of the complex by the Mandalorian, it became active again. So all the pucks started beeping and flashing the closer they were to him. So,
and then you get a 1 versus 100 standoff as the Mandalorian tries to make it back to his ship with Baby Yoda intact. And then the predictability of the bounty hunters, the other Mandalorians coming to
aid him
and assist their brother.
They told him to get out of there, and they would hold him back.
Which I like, because I didn't want this to be like a lone wolf type of thing over and over, because it wouldn't be believable that this guy was they've made him vulnerable so far. He's gotten shot up, he's gotten his armor dinged, he got beat up by that creature. I don't want him to seem like he's got superpowers, you know?
Yeah, that's good.
And he wasn't going to be able to take those 30 plus dudes who are highly skilled as well, all by himself. He does take care of a good amount because he's got sophisticated weaponry and really cool stuff.
Yeah, he literally
got, like,
just stocked up on it all.
That plasma cannon that just
flamethrower
evaporates people. The flamethrower. The songbirds that he used earlier on the stormtroopers. Poor stormtroopers. They're never gonna win a battle.
I mean, they weren't really doing much with their lives anyway, so.
And long story short, he gets help from the Mandalorians and he escapes, and then you got some comedic relief afterwards. Also, of note, the Carl Weathers character, the gentleman who gives the bounties out and the pucks out, they have a final one-on-one encounter, but he shoots him right in the best bar that he was hiding in his pocket that he showed him earlier in the bar scene. So he knew that he was protected,
of course,
if he shot him there. So again, we see that human side of this particular character, who is merciless when he needs to be, but also can display mercy. He's not, towards his friends,
unreasonable or unfeeling.
People. Yeah. So, all in all, this episode not only redeemed the second episode for me. The more I think about the second episode, I feel it was just Disney tacking on like some filler material to the pilot,
which is what we discussed. It was
and it makes a lot of sense. But
because it would have felt out of place. This episode would have felt out of place if that hadn't have been built up.
Oh, the relationship, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't have had any context on why he felt that great of a need to go back for the child if that episode hadn't taken place.
Oh, yeah. What I'm saying is episode 2 should have been an extended bit of episode 1. It should have been tacked on as like an hour and 5-minute pilot and not given me the 26-minute episode last week, because that took me out of the flow of things.
I can get behind that, yeah.
And man, if we were talking about this being episode 2 to that amazing pilot that we saw, then I'm willing to say that this is like on pace to be one of the better sci-fi TV series I've ever seen.
It's still really good.
It's early.
They just chopped it.
The production value is super high. Every episode so far has had a new director. This one was written by Jon Favreau, who was like the main guy behind the Iron Man series. And he's got a strong connection to the lore of Star Wars as well. And I'm sure him and George Lucas are buddy pals and have conversations on how the Mandalorian's getting written, because it feels Star Warsy. The transitions from scene to scene even employ some of the same visual transitions that they use in the movies. The score, like we talked about in the second episode, is so good. The music that's playing is different than the Star Wars music that you hear.
But it fits so well. It goes with it really well.
That last scene where they zoom out into space in this third episode and they're on to their next mission, it felt like I was about to hear that Star Wars dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
I felt like I was going to hear that, but it was the Ludwig Göransson score, and it was just as good. So yeah, that guy is just getting started and getting his feet wet with this. He's going to be a big deal. Like I said in the last episode, I get Hans Zimmer vibes from him, very strong ones. The Force is strong with him, so to speak.
Couldn't resist that one, huh?
Yeah, and just all in all, I don't have much bad to say about this episode. I see how I still don't see how they're going to work the drama in. There was a little bit of drama in this episode, emotional drama, but they can't sustain that anymore because now we know that he cares about Yoda. So they're baby Yoda. So now they're going to really need a villain to come along, and something's going to have to happen that makes us dislike that villain. Otherwise, it's just going to be this cycle of like conflict, protect Yoda, and escape. And
like conflict of the week type of thing.
Yeah, conflict of the week thing. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because in closing here, this show in particular is bringing back those vibes that I felt when I used to watch TV, like cable TV, and I'd have to wait for a whole week for a TV show to come back on and another episode. Like, it's making me upset that I can't, and I like that.
The agony.
I think we've all been overly treated with the Netflix bingeability and Hulu and all that, and we can just watch a whole season in overnight. I don't have anything against that, but building the tension, building the anticipation of of guessing what comes next. Also allowing us to talk about it and other people to talk about it and digest the details and everything. It brings an appreciation to the content that's not there if you just watch 10 hours of TV, because it's difficult to break down little things when you ingest that much material. So you really only get the main points. But by doing these breakdowns of 25 to 40 minute episodes week by week, we really get to sink our teeth into what's going on. And I think for Star Wars, that's crucial. And I don't think we'll ever see a Star Wars show or Star Trek show or anything that we are really attached to as viewers go like bingey right off the bat, because it requires an attention to detail and focusing on little things and really talking about them to flesh out the story, the characters, the lore, the missions, all of that. So yeah, I've got nothing but great things to say about this third episode. I
totally agree. I love this one. As soon as it stopped, that was the first thing I said, was I absolutely love this episode.
Yeah, looking forward to the weeks of this show to come. There's only 5 more episodes now, so what we're going to have to do for our content is mix in some movie reviews and some other cool stuff. So I'm looking forward to talking about Mandalorian episode 4 with you guys and with my missus. With that said, where do you see like episode 4 and future episodes going?
I'm not really sure. I'm hoping that we get more information, or any information on Yoda, or I know he's not really Yoda, but the child's race.
He's Yoda for Christmas sales this year, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Disney's going to crank out the little stuffed baby Yodas right in time for Black Friday.
And we know he's not actually Baby Yoda, what the heck else are we going to call him?
Yeah,
baby something of the race that we know nothing about.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's going to give us information or anything like that about the race that he comes from.
I don't think we're done seeing his buddy from the first 2 episodes, the guy who...
I Have Spoken?
Yeah, I Have Spoken, man. Also, let's see, the villain for sure is gonna have to play a part in this.
There's gotta be more of his race out there somewhere, because I know it's been 50 years because he's 50-year-old baby, but...
What do you think the Empire was...
There's gotta be more out there
Were
somewhere.
they extracting the Force out of him to try to, like, re-spark...
Oh, we forgot to touch on that. Yeah, they said that they needed to extract something from him, but they were to do it quickly.
Get away and do away with him afterwards.
Yeah.
And then the scientists...
That's a very good point. I wonder if they were...
Yeah, I feel like they were trying to extract the Force out of him to maybe make a new weapon. Or something that has to do
with his longevity, maybe?
Maybe that's how the Death Star was powered in the first place, was with the Force, like a sort of, like quantum Force power.
Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, I'm just trying to answer for the whole Star Wars series now with this one little blip of them extracting the Force out of Baby Yoda.
We don't know that's what they're extracting. We are speculating.
I know that rich, powerful, elite men, well, they're not rich and powerful and elite anymore. They're kind of just bruised and battered. But they want that power back in the Star Wars world.
And we're speculating that is the power that they were extracting.
What else would they be?
I don't know. We got to figure it out.
It's the only power he's got.
That we know of.
Turning skin green?
Yeah.
See you guys next time.